So, a little bird told me that you are not a fan of my previous two videos, at least the pacing on the audio portion. You want to hear my voice, my real voice, with all the little pauses and inflections that I do. You know, completely throw out my signature style that I've been using for the past 3-4 years now? Fine. You know, there it goes, out the window. You do realize, though, that this is probably going to screw up the pacing of my later videos, because some of the videos that I have previously recorded have that style in it. But you know what? Fine. It's the first season. I can change. I can adapt. I can get better, you know? But I'm not doing it for you. Baka. Start the show.
It's interesting, isn't it? Seems like there's an influx of 90s and 80s reboots and remakes crashing upon our shores, hoping to make bank amongst the nerd demographic. Star Wars, Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones, Gem and the Holograms, hell, even Transformers got big screen tie-ins. Now, I've been somewhat lucky in regards to the pandering, primarily because I was born in 1990 and was quickly converted to the Church of Anime.
In the name of the magical girl, the mecha, and the Cinderella love interest, Ramen.
With the Power Rangers movie being rebooted and my 90s nostalgia going into overdrive, I wanted to understand the phenomenon of Super Sentai shows that gave us shows like Power Rangers. What better way to learn than by watching what is arguably one of the most popular series there is, Kamen Rider. So prepare your skin-tight battle suits, perfect hair, and determination as I review Kamen Rider Gaim. Heshin! First things first, here's a little history. Super Sentai shows have been popular amongst Japanese audiences since the 70s. You got that right. They've been watching it 30 years before the original Power Rangers. Basically, in a cost-saving method, we import the Japanese footage and sort of splice in new stuff with English-speaking voice actors. The Power Rangers formula usually involves a team of upstart youths fighting against a villain of the week and overcoming because of the power of friendship and teamwork. Normally, the monster grows giant and our heroes get to have a Godzilla-style battle using a mech they conveniently have in their arsenal. Seriously, imagine if they didn't have one of those. That would be an extremely short series. Today, we're focusing on Kamen Rider, a tokusatsu, a live-action series with special effects, originally airing in 1971 starring Hiroshi Fujioka. That name doesn't ring a bell? Oh, no biggie. It's only Sega to motherfucking Sanshiro! Yeah, small world, eh? Kamen Rider was originally created by Sotaro Ishinomori and has gone through many different interpretations and tones. Why am I being so vague? Because Gaim personally has multiple writers and directors. If I were to fully flesh this out, I'd be here all day. I will say that the crew involved in Gaim has extensive history of Super Sentai shows, anime, movies, and other Kamen Rider series under their belt. So without further ado, here's the goddamn story. Welcome to Zawame City, a nice, peaceful little metropolis home to giant pharmaceutical companies who own everything in the city and are totally not evil, as well as roaming packs of street gangs who break dance and fight for turf via Tamagotchi battles that look like knockoff fights from Mega Man NT Warrior. Our hero is Koda, a fresh-faced adolescent who has left the breakdance life behind to support his older sister. Everything seems moderately peaceful until Koda's old crew calls him back, and then shit slowly starts hitting the fan. His old crew starts losing these Tamagotchi fights, Lockseed fights, and in doing so, lose turf to breakdance in. Not only that, but monsters from the fights are starting to break out into the real world and attack people. Luckily though, a mysterious Lockseed dealer named Siddard has something to combat these monsters, a belt that'll store Lockseeds called a Sengoku driver. Koda finds one after landing in a dimensional tear and uses it to transform into an armored rider, which is this series' classification of Kamen Rider. The moment Koda puts on the belt, he's warned by a vision of his friend Mai, who happens to be channeling Yuna from Final Fantasy. She warns Koda that if he continues to follow down his current path, he'll be unable to escape the chains of fate that bind him. And that's all I'm willing to summarize about the story because I'm not in the mood of spoiling an entire series and I honestly want to get these videos below 15 minutes. Let's talk about the characters, the actors portraying them, and the general feel of their portrayal. Kota Kazuraba has got main protagonist written all over him. He's laid back, and while he's not the brightest, he cares deeply for his friends and family. He's portrayed by Gaku Sano, who honestly is quite refreshing to see on screen. The Kaido to Kota's Tyson is Kaido Kumo. He's the leader of a rival gang and is cold and only cares about furthering his own strength. Yeah, that Beyblade reference I just made is kinda on the nose, but it works, so fuck it. Kaido is portrayed by Yutaka Kobayashi, and I swear the only direction he's given the entire series is to scowl, look moody, and arrogant. Alongside the mains, we have Kota's childhood friend Mai, Kota's friend who's torn between his friends and his family, Mitsuzani Kuroshima, Mitsuzani's older brother who heads the mysterious corporation Takatora, the bizarro pastry chef who basically is if hard gay could kick ass, Oren Pierre Alfonso, and a leader of the B-Team gang turned Oren's apprentice, Hideyasu Junuichi. And finally, the mysterious radio host who knows way more than what he's letting on and has a bigger role in all of this, DJ Sagara. There's also a fair share of other players who join this action drama, but we don't have the time. Everybody goes down some interesting character arcs and practically everyone is bringing their A-game to this, although Oren did get a little grating sometimes. I personally know quite a few people who would take offense to Oren's portrayal, but then again, they take offense at half the shit that I do, so moving on. On camera, the drama is well filmed and the action scenes are done reasonably well. There's a lot of new powers and abilities thrown on screen, primarily to make that dollar bill, y'all, but also to break up the monotony of the series itself. The main theme song of Kamen Rider Gaim is Just Live More by Gaim no Kaze. It does a good job of pumping you up, and considering it's one of the few songs that features lyrics in this show, it does its job of being memorable without being obnoxious. That being said, this series has a lot of rough patches that honestly prevent it from becoming truly great in my eyes. You see, Kamen Rider Gaim has a lot going against it. With a whopping 47 episodes under its belt, Gaim has a bunch of episodes dedicated to re-establishing character motivations for those who might have missed them. Normally it involves them losing fighting spirit and spending the rest of the episode moping until they regain their spark, but this happens way too often throughout the series to the point where I wanted to punch a couple characters who have gone through this arc already. When you have someone who's gotten depressed, found the will to keep pressing onward, you can't redo that arc unless you make that character go through hell. Episodes that typically involve the motorcycles were god-awful to watch, and don't get me started on the bad CGI used to make the hover bikes. Look, I understand you've got world building to do, but 7 episodes without a somewhat established villain isn't good. By episode 7, Oren is a temporary antagonist with his background in military tactics, but to be brutally honest, that dude should have been way deadlier. Most of the people who have made appearances as riders are gang members who are completely untrained in any form of martial combat. It would make sense to have mains who surpass him, but only if they put the time in. Giving stronger weapons to untrained combatants does not make better soldiers. Here's an example. This Christmas, a buddy of mine received a shotgun and let me try it out after removing the shells. I couldn't even properly cock it, let alone get it to the state where I would be ready to pull the trigger. How am I able to believe Kota is really improving when all he's doing is nothing to change his game up? I understand this is just an action show targeted primarily at kids, but this is a missed opportunity to effectively make a character's strength grow organically. And while we're on the subject of target demographics, let's talk about the biggest hindrance to Kamen Rider Gaim: the tone. It's quite clear that Kamen Rider Gaim has an ambitious task on its plate. They wanted to take the Super Sentai genre and turn it on its head, taking a series that's bright and flashy and turning it darker and something more adult. The only problem with this is that the show has a very hard time picking a lane and staying within it. I'm not saying you can't have cheerful themes and something gritty, but the transitions need time to build. At one point in the series, a giant fight between 2 riders occurred, and one of them is slain. Their body is cast away by the local river, and the episode ends ominously. The episode that immediately follows it is a giant excuse to shoehorn soccer players. It's a jarring shift that comes across as disjointed, probably about as disjointed as the commercial for Kamen Rider gummies. Did I just see an 8-year-old's O-face? One of the other things that takes me out of the immersion is the crossover episodes. Normally in the series, Kamen Rider Gaim will reference another show and even show clips of it during the opening theme. This really pisses me off because I was sitting here thinking I'd see some of these new characters and scenes that genuinely look interesting. Nope! We're not only taking the rug out from under you, but we also drank the last Ramoon soda you were saving. Go f*** yourself! Now normally I'm okay with shows that have a slow build. For example, Eureka 7 is 50 episodes long, but it's got a great beginning that roped me into the show, and helped me get through the long chunk of Renton being mopey and getting shit kicked by Holland in the middle. Kamen Rider didn't rope me in until the 20th episode or so, and even then it tried my patience. Characters that should have been killed off ended up surviving, and I feel it hurts the darker tone of the entire series. That being said, Kamen Rider Gaim is pretty satisfactory. Despite the slow build and the bizarre shifts in tone, its actors do a fantastic job despite the subpar script. For those who are digging Power Rangers, I would strongly recommend Kamen Rider Double, aka W. That being said, this is also a pretty decent show, so give it a whirl and tell me what you think. I'm SonicMTD, and when you're this awesome, you don't need lock scenes. Hey there! Thank you very much for catching the third episode of Always Rate Reviews, where we covered Kamen Rider Gaim. Please be sure to like and subscribe this video, and leave me a comment down below. Also, while you're here, please be sure to take a look at some of the links on this side of the webpage. And finally, my band, City and Wires, is going to be performing at the Hard Luck Bar located in downtown Toronto on Saturday, May 13th. Please come check us out, and I'll be sure to say hi. But until that time comes, later days.